start listening to me. I'm not saying it's 100%, but where is he going? We see teams dropping every day. Phoenix is out. Miami is out. Toronto is out. What's the deal to be made? Now, this Boston thing, if they want to give up Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and if I'm the Nets, I'm demanding Robert Williams III as well, and 3 first-round picks. If they want to give up some type of deal like that, then maybe it happens. But outside of that, guys, where in the world is he going? All right, and I also, and the Nets firmly believe this, that KD is not going to not show up for training camp. KD loves basketball, and let's face it, he's been limited the last 3 years. He's played 90 games in 3 years. He was upset about Kyrie not getting the long-term extension. Well, Kyrie's going to be there, and Kyrie's going to need to play well, and he's going to need to win to some degree to get the bag he wants the following season. All right, they've done a nice job this summer. KD was also upset about his friend, personal trainer, shooting coach being let go by the team. He'll get over these things. All right, I think that the likeliest scenario, Rick, is that he is back with Brooklyn because there just aren't the deals out there worth a superstar like Kevin Durant, who's got 4 years left on his deal, who's not going to sit out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he starts the season in Brooklyn.
I do not expect him to start the season in Brooklyn, and the fact that nothing's going on right now doesn't make me believe otherwise. Look, this is generally the dead period. If there is a dead period with the NBA these days, this is it. We're 6-7 weeks out from training camp. It doesn't mean that they can't get something done before they go into training camp. And let's be honest. Look, the Brooklyn Nets don't want to drag all of this drama into yet another season. And just because you have teams saying, we're out, doesn't mean they can't say, we're back in. This isn't Shark Tank. You get more than one shot.
Yeah.
The problem right now is, Nick,
Love Shark Tank.
that the Nets, because of the Rudy Gobert deal, are asking for the sun, the moon, and a couple of stars. Well, they can ask all they want. The teams around, and there are teams that are interested, and there are teams that can make deals. Some of them we haven't heard of just yet. Boston suddenly bubbled up out of nowhere. There are other teams that are capable of trading multiple all-star type players and picks and getting Kevin Durant and being better as a result. So, but they're not going to make their offers now because Brooklyn is asking for everything. They're going to wait until there's a little more pressure on Brooklyn not to want to start the season with KD and Kyrie and Ben Simmons, and where they're going to maybe come off a little bit, or at least find out if they're going to come off of what they are asking for. So I don't see the Brooklyn Nets wanting to mess up yet another season by having this drag into it.
Of course, Rick. And during the commercial break earlier, Wild said if he were a GM, he'd be the GM that calls teams and offers trades, and then the teams are like, we're not allowed to do that. That literally is against the rules. And Wild's like, that's your problem. If Brew was a GM, he would be the guy that calls teams and says, I want 400 cents on the dollar and not a penny less. And they'd say, okay, well, we're hanging up the phone. I'm telling you right now, Brew, the Celtics are not trading Jalen, Marcus, and Robert Williams. They wouldn't trade that with no picks. And I know then I'm not making the move. Okay, that's fine. But the move's going to be made. Now, am I certain the move is happening before game 1? No, I mean, James Harden was traded after game 7. He was traded very early, but he'd play a few games for the Rockets. But I want to ask you a direct question, Brew. Brew, I understand that. I want to ask you a direct question. You have been very firm. You believe Kevin Durant is starting the season in Brooklyn. Do you believe he is finishing the season in Brooklyn?
I am not as convinced of that as I am that he starts it there, but I do think there's a good chance. And look, and you're going to laugh, you're going to mock. I'm not saying they're winning the East, all right? But what if they start
next year Nets
8-3?
Next year,
I mean,
Nets.
seriously.
Yeah, but then it's not next year
Nick,
anymore. The problem is once the year starts, it's not next year anymore.
The talent is unquestioned. All right, and if they go out there and they get off to a good start and they're playing well, I think this dissipates, and he probably does finish the season with the Knicks.
Last year they started the season as the 1 seed.
Is Kyrie there too?
They were the 1 seed at Christmas, and the season ended with them winning 0 playoff games. So I'm not that interested in how it starts.
It was a special circumstance. It was a special circumstance. You know that it was a special
have his
circumstance.
head on right, and Ben Simmons' back is going to be fixed, and Kevin Durant. It's so weird because it's like
it's like
you're debating with yourself. You're like, well, Kevin Durant's only played 90 games in 3 years, and no one wants Kyrie Irving, and you can't trust Ben Simmons. But if they're all together on my beloved Nets, look out. Look out, America. It's just nonsense. And everybody knows it's nonsense. What?
Can I jump in quickly before Wilds goes? Wilds, you know where all this stems from. Nick is so desperate to get Kyrie Irving to the Lakers that is why he is standing on this Durant will be traded. Because obviously if Durant's traded, I don't need to keep Kyrie. So that's what this is all about. It's looming underneath everything. I got to get Kyrie to the Lakers.
This is where I lose my mind. This is where I lose my mind. Because you know where this is all coming from and stemming from? Kevin Durant demanding a trade. It is not on the bottom line. Nick Wright reporting it's all hell's breaking loose in Brooklyn. No, Kevin Durant demanded a trade. That is what happened. That has still happened. And every report, Woj, Shams, anyone and everyone, Stephon Bondi, anybody that's reporting on this is like, yeah, and Kevin Durant still wants to be traded. And the Nets are fielding offers. And even Broussard, beloved Nets fan, is not even convinced, Wilds, he's going to finish the year in Brooklyn. So the question I would ask you, Wilds, is if nobody thinks he's finishing the year in Brooklyn, then why the hell do you care if he starts the year in Brooklyn? If they are trading him at some point. The question is where and to whom, or when and to whom. But they're trading him. We all know they're trading him.
I don't know that.
So I'm trying to figure out, Rick, what the holdup is. And you told me that there's, this is the dead zone period of it. I get it, but it's also a top 15 player of all time. So you know what? Maybe I'd cut my vacation a little bit short. But here's just a theory. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. The Celtics trade leaked out there, and it's not like this trade's happened and the players involved feel great about it. Jaylen Brown felt some kind of way about it, tweeted SMH. I would be a little bit nervous that it would get out and I would alienate and disrupt my team and the young superstar I'm going to move to Brooklyn. Do you think that is an issue and why GMs may be holding their cards closer to the vest because you saw that the Celtics and Jaylen Brown sort of disrupted their team chemistry?
There is at least some of that. And part of why this came out is for the Nets to show KD, hey, say, look, we're trying to move you. Like, be patient, but there are things going on out there. We just need to get something that makes sense in return for you. And yeah, there's always that issue in terms of names getting out there and it just disrupting your team. But look, this is the Boston Celtics team that just went to the finals. It's not the first time that Jaylen Brown's name has been out there, and we can interpret SMH and him shaking his head in a multitude of ways, whether it's because he doesn't believe that the Boston Celtics, or is upset that the Boston Celtics would have his name out there on the trading block, or that it's simply out there or somebody's putting it out there and it's contrary to what the Boston Celtics have told. Who knows? Who knows why Jaylen Brown said that? So there is that. But the dead period is more so, again, because of the Rudy Gobert deal. Like, let's get some distance from how much Utah ended up getting for Rudy Gobert. Let's have a little bit more pressure on the Nets so they start looking at this through a different light rather than we just have to beat the Rudy Gobert deal. And let's look at what kind of team do we want next season that's not going to have KD or Kyrie. And the idea, and Brew, I can't believe you suggested, because that's why I asked it, that it would be KD and Kyrie back next season. I don't see either one of them starting the season in Brooklyn, but I certainly do not see Kyrie Irving in a Brooklyn Nets uniform.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.